This part of the coursework is where we use theory knowledge to improve our skill weakness. You need to go back and look at what you wrote about for your skill weakness. It will be something like tackling, passing, intercepting, a right hook in boxing, and it's not your fitness weakness. It's really, really important that you know the difference between your skill weakness and your fitness weakness, and we are concerned with your skill weakness for this section. You then need to look at these 3 bullet points here. What is the cause of your weakness? Are your tackles your weakness because you are too powerful and therefore always foul your opponent? Is it shooting that's your weakness because you don't have enough confidence, so then you don't practice in the game situation? Is it that your technique's not quite right and therefore you don't approach a tackle at the right angle because you're not quite sure of the technique? If you're not sure about this, you need to speak to your teacher before moving on to any other section, because this is absolutely crucial that you understand what is the cause of your weakness. Once you know what the cause is, you can decide on one section of theory. You don't need to speak about all 3, just one section which you think would help to improve your skill weakness. Now, these are the 3 that you have to choose from, and on the next slide, I'll help you decide which one is going to be most relevant to you. Based on what you said was the cause of your skill weakness, I've recommended that you write about a specific part of the theory. If you think that your skill weakness was caused by nervousness, here this top row here, then you'll be writing about arousal control. If you said that it's due to poor technique, then you'll be writing about guidance. Now, the next few slides speaks about each of these sections of theory individually. So therefore, you can fast forward to the section that's relevant to you. There's absolutely no need, if you're writing about guidance, you do not need to listen to goal setting, and you don't need to listen to arousal control. So make sure you fast forward to the right section. Everything you need to include in your coursework is in the green text here on the right hand side. You just need to work through these questions one by one. The rest of the slides should help you remember some of the theory content learned in your lessons. Question number 2 is based on the diagram in the middle of the page, and it talks about the effects of low levels of arousal on performance and high levels of arousal on performance. So you have to talk about how this affects your specific example and your specific skill weakness. Referring to my tackling example, I could say something like, if I had too little arousal, I was under aroused, then I might be too slow into the tackle and therefore not meet my opponent at the correct time, and that's why it's my weakness. I could also say, however, if I had too much arousal, I might have too much adrenaline, and therefore I then would foul my opponent, and then it would also be a weakness. So I need my arousal to be at this optimal point where this sunshine here is shining. That also covers question 3 really. What happens to your performance when arousal level is too low and too high? I then would bring in a stress management technique that would help control arousal. Now, thinking about tackling, as I'm approaching my opponent, could I do a couple of deep breaths to reduce my arousal level? Could I mentally rehearse the tackle in my head, visualize what I'm going to do just before I'm about to do it? I choose my stress management technique, whichever I think is relevant, and then I would describe it in detail. Question number 5. How would you do deep breathing? You might need to refer back to some of your theory lessons here, exactly how you would do the deep breathing technique, and then how this would improve my skill weakness. Well, it would reduce my arousal levels so that I don't have as much adrenaline, and therefore I would perform the tackle at the right amount of power. Everything you need to include in your coursework is in the green text on the right hand side over on this side here. You just need to work through the questions one by one. Question 2 and 3, you can use all the prompts on the left hand side to help answer the questions, making sure that you explain all the theory content really thoroughly. Question 4 and 5, think about what goals motivate you the most. Is it because you're a beginner or an introvert? Why have you chosen these specific goals? Why did you choose a performance goal, for example? Question number 6 is, I suppose, the area where people get marked down really with not enough detail. You need to write a plan which will methodically help you to reach a longer term, bigger goal. As you can see on the left hand side here, these smaller goals will put you in control and help to reduce anxiety and also increase confidence when goals are met. I'll give you an example. If my skill weakness was intercepting passes in a netball game, and I want to be able to set myself a target of being able to have a 90% success rate when intercepting a pass in netball, then I might set my first short-term goal as getting 3 successful interceptions against an opponent in a training game. That would build my confidence. I probably know my opponent, and that's the reason why I would set that as a smaller goal. I can then build on this to work towards achieving a 90% pass rate gradually. If my skill weakness was a back somersault on a trampoline and I'm new to trampolining, then my short-term goal might be to perform a back landing, as this would build confidence in propelling myself to go backwards. I then might say, right, I'm going to then do a back pullover. So I'm going to go onto my back and then I'm going to go all the way over onto my feet. And then gradually building that up, working towards my larger long-term goal. And finally, question number 8, how will these goals help to improve your skill weakness? You can combine that in with the plan in question number 6. You can combine that question and answer together if that helps you do that. On the left-hand side in the green text is everything you need to include in this section of the coursework. If you just answer and work through these questions methodically, then you'll do really well in this section. On the right hand side is some prompts. These are the 4 different types of guidance. You do need to explain all 4 types of guidance in question number 2. Why do you need guidance? You've got some prompts in there to answer and work with. Question number 4, what type of guidance is most suitable for your skill weakness? This is important that you're applying it to your skill weakness. If my skill weakness was a back somersault, then I would use probably manual guidance in the first instance, having my coach help guide me over in that back somersault. You need to explain exactly how the guidance will be used. So how will the coach help you? Where are they going to put their hands if it's manual guidance? How are they going to turn you over? If it's visual guidance, what are you doing? Is your coach giving you demonstrations? Are you using an iPad to video yourself? Exactly what is going to be done there. The guidance might change as you improve. So question number 6 here, if I was doing a back somersault on trampolining, it would start off as manual, but eventually it's probably going to go to verbal, where my coach is just giving me some little pointers. Or they might video me and get me to watch it back, which is obviously visual. So it could change as you progress in that skill. We do need a little bit of analysis and evaluation in here as well. So whichever type of guidance that you choose, you need to write about the advantages and disadvantages of this type of guidance. These are on the next slide, a few prompts for you from what you would have seen in lessons. So you can use the next slide to help you answer question number 7. And then question number 8, the big one, how does this improve your performance? If I'm talking about a back somersault and maybe my rotation wasn't straight, then obviously it's going to improve my performance because I'm going to then get better points in my trampolining competition for my form. And here is a slide that you hopefully would have seen before in lessons, where you can use some of these prompts, different examples, advantages, disadvantages, to help with your evaluation of your type of guidance.